Hey everybody, so the NHL season is coming to an end. We are gearing up for the playoffs now. A lot of teams have already clinched playoff spots. What we're going to be looking at today are 5 potential first round playoff series that I really want to see this year and think would be awesome matchups and awesome series to watch. So before we get in, I just ask you to please subscribe and hit that thumbs up if you haven't yet. It helps out so much and is greatly appreciated. But let's get started here looking at 5 playoff series that I would love to see this season. And a little bit of criteria here. They have to be realistic, so they have to be teams that could actually meet up in the playoffs. They have to be based on the first round, so something that could realistically happen in the first round. I'm not going to look beyond that because we have no idea who is going to make it beyond that. So just focusing on potential first round matchups here, and we'll get into it now, and they're in no particular order either. These are just 5 that I picked, but I'm not really ranking them 1 through 5 or anything. First one I want to see is Boston and Washington. The Capitals and the Bruins, if you have watched any of their games this season, absolutely hate each other, and it is awesome. There's a ton of bad blood between these two teams. They very well could potentially meet up in the first round. Really, with the East Division the way it is, it could be a 1-4 matchup, or it could be a 2-3 matchup, and it's definitely a possibility that it does happen. And just these two teams, if they played each other in the playoffs, it would be an absolute war, and it would be really fun to watch. It would be nasty physical hockey, which is exactly the way hockey is supposed to be. It would feel like a playoff series that would go down as one of the more physical ones this year for sure. And I just think it would be super fun and exciting to watch. And the bad blood between those two teams really just percolates and shows up every time they play. And I think getting, 6 or 7 games of that would get it to being one of the more exciting matchups that you could see in the playoffs. And I'd be really excited for that one. Next up, Toronto versus Montreal. So this is a series that I would absolutely love to see. It would obviously have to be the 1-4 matchup in the North. Now, Montreal could move ahead of Winnipeg, so we may not get this one. There's still a chance that the Jets finish 4th, and then obviously we get Maple Leafs and Jets. But if Montreal finishes 4th, I'll be pretty happy because I want to see these two teams play in the playoffs. They've played some awesome games against each other this season, including just last night with the Canadiens coming out with a big win. And there's just such a natural rivalry here between these two teams and such a historic rivalry between these two teams that this would be a really big playoff series and a really fun playoff series, particularly up in Canada where you have, the whole Montreal versus Toronto thing. I mean, they're huge Canadian rivals. They're, historic rivals going all the way back to the early days of the NHL. And this would just be another chapter in a long history and storied rivalry between these two teams. So anytime you can get Leafs versus Habs, I am all about it. And I think that would be an awesome matchup to see this year. And it would be a really good series too. That would be a lot of fun to watch. Next up, I have Tampa Bay versus Florida. This is another one. In-state rivals here with Tampa Bay and Florida, both from the same state. Obviously, Florida has kind of always played second fiddle to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning have 2 Stanley Cups in their history. The Florida Panthers have none. Tampa Bay has never had a problem with fan support or, anything like that, where Florida, we're talking about them possibly getting relocated at times, and there's been talks about them always near the bottom of the league in attendance, not this year, but in their history. So you have the Florida Panthers, who are having a surprisingly good season, who have come out actually ahead of Tampa Bay in the standings right now by a couple of points, although Tampa Bay does have games in hand. But you have the Panthers here with a chance to not only play, but potentially knock out their in-state rival, who are the defending Stanley Cup champions, in the first round of the playoffs, if this stays the 2-3 matchup, which it would be right now. If the season ended right now, Florida and Tampa Bay would be playing each other in the first round, and I am all for it. That would be a really good series to watch. I think Florida could give the Lightning a tough series. I think Florida's had a really, really good year this year. They're extremely well coached. They're playing good in, all facets of the game. I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch, and I think that there'd be a lot of built-up animosity between these teams just because of the rivalry that is there. And I think Florida is sick of being treated like a second-class team compared to Tampa Bay. And I think this would be a big opportunity for the Panthers to go in and upset the Lightning and try and knock them out early in the playoffs and say, we're here now, you better watch out for us, because Florida's had a great season this year. That'd be really, really fun series to watch just because of the rivalry between those two teams. Next on the list, I have the Vegas Golden Knights against the Minnesota Wild. These two teams, every time they play, it is like must-watch hockey. And they played again last night. It was another must-watch game. Huge come-from-behind win for the Wild. The Wild have actually beaten Vegas, I think, 5 times now this season. So while Vegas is higher in the standings, Minnesota actually has the Golden Knights number a little bit this year. These two teams do not like each other. They're very physical games when they play. There's a lot of animosity between these two teams. And I think watching them in a playoff series for, 6-7 games would be must-see TV on a nightly basis. And I would be super excited for that playoff series. And I think, that'd be one of my most looked forward to series in the entire postseason if Vegas and Minnesota do play. Now, for that to happen, Vegas would have to drop down to the second or third spot because it would have to be the 2-3 matchup because St. Louis is pretty much can't move higher than 4th. So whoever finishes first is going to end up playing the Blues, and Vegas would have to drop out of first and go to second or third to play Minnesota, who would also be in whichever spot in second or third that Vegas isn't. So it is possible. I don't know if we're going to get to see it. I think we might get Vegas and St. Louis and Colorado and Minnesota, which certainly wouldn't be bad in its own right, but I really want to see the Golden Knights play the Wild. I think that would be one of the best playoff series of the entire postseason. It would be super fun to watch. And finally, the last one, number 5, Colorado against the St. Louis Blues. So again, for this to happen, Colorado would have to take over the 1 spot from Vegas. Vegas would drop to 2 and play Minnesota, and Colorado would play St. Louis as the 1-4 matchup. Colorado and St. Louis have a pretty strong recent history as far as rivalry goes against each other. And I think this would be a really, really close playoff series. Maybe a lot closer than some people would expect. St. Louis hasn't had the best year this year, but they've been playing well lately. And they're a team that can kind of get going at the right time of the year, and that's what they've done to end the season here. To now they have a 5-point lead over the Coyotes and pretty much locked into that 4 spot, barring losing the rest of their games or something like that. So they know how to play in big games. They know how to turn it on when they need to. And I think they could give Colorado a good series. I certainly would expect the Avalanche to win it, but they could give them a really tough series. And I think it'd be a physical, hard-fought, really kind of, in-your-face, beat and bang kind of series because those two teams do not like each other and they play very tough games against each other. Doesn't matter where either team is at in the standings. When they play against each other, it is a tough, close game most of the time. And I would be really excited to see that one if they meet up in the playoffs. So those are 5 potential first-round playoff series this year that I would absolutely love to see. Boston against Washington, Toronto against Montreal, Tampa Bay against Florida, Vegas against Minnesota, and Colorado against St. Louis. We'll see if any of these happen, which ones of them happen, which ones don't. But if any of these teams meet up in the playoffs and any of these series do happen, I am going to be really, really excited to watch and stream some of those games and see how they go, because I think they're going to be tremendous matchups. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, donation link, and channel memberships are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.